What is a woman is a trending question recently because of the transgender ideologies that have been spread in our culture. Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire just recently released a documentary with that as the title, What is a Woman? The obvious answer is an adult human female. But with so much confusion today, some people don't even know that anymore. So what should we do as parents to make sure that our children don't become confused and that they have a clear understanding and embrace the reality of their own biology? Now, we as parents obviously need to be really careful because we want to balance them knowing the truth, having confidence in their own biological reality, and still keeping their innocence, letting them just be kids and not worry about all this sexual culture going on around them. Here's what I think is best, and what I'm going to say would be controversial today when a few years ago it would have been a common sense fact and it wouldn't be confusing at all. Number 1, explain biological reality slowly and age appropriately. When your child is still little, like maybe 4 or 5 years old, you might want to explain to them that there are differences between boys and girls, and physically they're going to be different. That boys have certain characteristics physically and girls have certain characteristics physically. And actually, at 4 to 5 years old, they're already going to have noticed that anyway. And unless they've been indoctrinated to believe something different than that, that's going to be something that's kind of obvious at that point. But because of the world we live in, you're going to need to just state it to them and make sure that they understand it's true what they're noticing. Number 2, explain that some people are confused. Now, this is really important that they understand the idea that there are people in the world today that are confused about what it means to be a boy or to be a girl. So they're going to see sometimes somebody that's dressing differently than what they actually are, and they might look a little funny or a little different, but that's because they're confused. Let them know they might even see somebody that tells them, or somebody will tell them that this used to be a boy but now it's a girl, or vice versa, and that they should know that that's not true because you can't change from being a boy to a girl or from being a girl to a boy. A cat can't decide to be a dog because of the way they feel, or a minnow can't decide to be a whale because they want to be. They are what they are, and it isn't just a costume that they wear. It isn't just what kind of clothing they wear or what kind of makeup they wear. It's not how they use their voice. It's not the things they say or do. It is the biology of who they are. And sometimes people have been confused about that lately. They don't need to be confused. They can still know that a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl, and once they're that, they can't be the other. That's just the way things are. Number 3, give some specifics. Now, I know you don't want to go into a whole lot of detail, but one easy thing to do is to say, well, girls grow up to be women, and women have babies, and they breastfeed their babies, and that's because that's what their bodies are made to do. And boys become grown-up men, and they become kind of strong, and they protect the other people because that's what their bodies are made for. Women's bodies are made for certain things, and they're wonderfully and beautifully made for that purpose. And men's bodies are made for certain things, and their bodies are wonderfully and beautifully made for that purpose. And if you're one or the other and you embrace that with happiness and joy, you can have joy and happiness in who you are. Number 4, tell them to always be kind. Because the world today, they're going to see people that are confused. They need to remember that they need to always be kind. Never be mean to somebody because they have this problem. Never treat them in a bad way. Always be kind and courteous, have manners, and that kind of thing. Never treat anybody badly. It doesn't mean that they have to go along with the idea that somebody is confused and treat them as if that confusion is okay, but they should always be kind to everyone around them. Tell them being kind and being truthful is what's best for everyone. Number 5, let them ask questions. Now, it could be when you explain this to your child, they may not know what you're talking about because you pretty much kept them protected. They haven't seen a lot of this stuff going on in the world yet, and that's okay. That's great. You've done a good job if they're little and they have been kept away from this kind of thing, so they don't have to worry about this in their life. But it is going to be coming up at some point in their life, and so it's better that you're kind of preempting that and giving them some information. But don't push them to discuss this any longer than they want to. If they're done, just let them go on, and they'll come to you with questions at any time that they have them. Number 6, get your children out of public school. Okay, so a few years ago, I wouldn't have said this. A few years ago, if you look at my older videos about different things, I might say, if you can, if it's at all possible, if you can arrange it, get your children out of public school. Now I have to say something different. Now I say, get your children out of public school, no matter what you have to do. If you have to go on welfare, then you go on welfare. If you have to work a couple jobs, if you have to get in a co-op with other parents so that some can watch the children and some can homeschool them and some can go to work and get in a co-op and kind of work that out together, whatever it is you have to do. And the reason I'm saying that is because it isn't just a matter of that there are some good teachers in public school and there are some bad ones. That's true. I know there are good teachers in public school. I'm aware of that. And in fact, I have a daughter who's a speech language pathologist. She does speech therapy in the public school, and she's a wonderful person. And I would totally trust her with my children. The problem is that your child is exposed to all kinds of teachers and all kinds of staff in the school. And right now, the United States Department of Education is pushing the progressive sexual ideologies that are not right. And it's not just that it comes in here and there and whatever. It's the teachers' unions and it's the Department of Education itself that is indoctrinating children and pushing that in the classroom, in all of the curriculums and so on. A lot of the school boards are pushing it as well. So at this point, there's really no way to be sure, if you have your children in public school, that they're not going to be indoctrinated into this, not only by the teachers and the staff and so on, but it's also going to be coming from the other children that they're going to meet there and their parents as well. In fact, I had just the other day a woman write me a note about her child. Her child had a friend, and that friend, it's not that friend is into the ideology themselves as far as they're not trying to be transgender or anything, but they were going and doing all this stuff with Pride Month, and so was that parent. And the mom was kind of, well, what should I do about that? And my answer was, you need to get that child away from that other child. It's not that you don't love that other child or whatever, but you got to keep your children from being exposed to that when they are young, when they are under, mid-teens or even later teens. You need to keep them in an environment that's going to keep them in reality and is not going to allow them to be indoctrinated into an ideology that just isn't true. And you can't be sure anymore that the public schools aren't going to do that. In fact, you can kind of expect that they are going to be pushing that in the school. In my opinion, public schools are not the place for your children to be at this point. Kids just want to be kids. They just want to have fun and they just want to play. And they don't need to be burdened with all of this sexual ideology and all of these adult issues that are being pushed on them younger and younger, even in preschool at this point. Now, if you agree with this commentary and this advice, I hope that you will click that subscribe button and then click one of the cards on the screen now to see another video that will help you be the most effective parent you can be. Parents, if you're struggling, something needs to change, and you can do this. I hope to see you here next week.